Hello, hello. Welcome to this week's journal entry or podcast episode. We are talking about high functioning burnout. I don't know if that's a thing or if I'm coining this term, but I think it's something that a lot of women can relate to. In fact, I know that it is because I was looking at stats recently about stress and burnout and overwhelm, and that's what I'm going to share with you first. 93% of women report experiencing extreme stress. 93%. 83% of moms experience burnout. 70% of moms say that they feel overwhelmed. 60% of moms say that they rarely, if ever, take time for themselves. Women are also less likely to take time off of work for mental health reasons. They often need an actual, quote unquote, actual excuse to take time off of work. Also, women say that they're stressed, misunderstood, and alone. Those numbers are shocking to me. Not shocking. I believe them wholeheartedly. It's just unfortunate and sad that that is how so many women are feeling right now. But I had this realization of what do most women do when they feel stressed, overwhelmed, and burnt out? Like you just heard those stats. But how are most women acting in the world right now? How do most women carry themselves? The women that you know, do they come off like that? Or do they come off as handling their shit, as doing the things that they got to do every day? These women come off as doing it all and not struggling. These women, and I'm also categorizing myself occasionally in these buckets, we think that by crossing off one more task on our list, that we'll feel better. So we do more thinking we'll feel less overwhelmed or stressed or burnt out afterwards. Or we think that by maybe cleaning the room that we're in, we'll feel better afterwards. And so while it might be true, like we might feel better after cleaning or doing the extra task, that's not the answer to overwhelm or feeling fulfilled or feeling peaceful. What also isn't the answer is signing up for more things. And I know that you know this, but women often just turn a blind eye to how they're feeling. And when they're asked by the school teachers to sign up for something, they're like, oh, yeah, I can do that. Or when they're asked to bring popsicles to this soccer practice, they think, yeah, I can squeeze that in. And they just add more things to the schedule, especially if it seems like a small task. They add more and more things. What is even more stressful sometimes is that because of this, no one else recognizes your level of burnout, whether that be physical burnout or emotional or mental. So they don't offer to help because nobody is seeing the signs. You are high functioning. And so you continue to do it all, and everybody thinks, wow, she is super mom. She is Wonder Woman. How does she do all of this? Because you don't show the signs of burnout and stress or overwhelm. So we know the answer is not to go and do one more thing because we think we'll feel accomplished. The answer also is not to do less. It's not to go and hide or sleep for 24 hours or, turn off for nobody to contact you. The answer, I believe, and what a lot of psychologists believe, is connection. And I'm taking this one step further, and I'm going to tell you the type of connection. I believe that what can help stress, burnout, and overwhelm is connection to others, connection to yourself, and connection to what you do. And there's a few ways that you can do this, and we're going to go through them all. Number one, you can plan more things to do with your family or your friends. I encourage you to think of things that actually bring you joy, things that you want to do. Maybe it's something new that you've been wanting to try. Plan that. The downside to this is that for someone with high functioning stress, burnout, and overwhelm, this often feels like an extra activity on your to-do list. So if it feels like one more thing that you have to plan or even one more thing that you have to attend, I would encourage option number two, which would be getting a therapist. I am pro therapy. I love my therapist. The downside of therapy, though, is that it can be very expensive if you are paying out of pocket for a good one. I was actually just talking to a friend, and I think she was telling me that her out of pocket invoices for one session is $375 per hour, per session. Crazy. They're super, super helpful, but it comes at a price. So, my third option for you is to take 5 to 15 minutes, just a few days a week, not even every single day, to journal. And here is exactly what I journal on when I feel stressed, overwhelmed, or burnt out. This will take you approximately 4.25 minutes. Yes, 4 minutes and 15 seconds if you do it to a T. And you should end feeling at least a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more organized. And the cool part is that you're not changing anything about your day because let's face it, you still have to go to work. You still have your priorities. You still have to make meals for you and potentially your family. You've got to do these things, but there is a way that you can do it in a more calm and peaceful way. These next few prompts will be in the show notes, so make sure you click on that, maybe screenshot them for when you're in a space to journal. And while you're there, why don't you rate my podcast episode so that more people are encouraged to listen? Okay, first, write out everything that's overwhelming you right now. This is what I love calling an emotional brain dump. Brain dump it all, get it out of your head and onto paper. And this can be everything from work related to relationship stuff to conversations that you had. It can be serious stuff. It can be petty stuff. It can be anything that bubbles up, just get it out. I love doing this sort of prompt by typing just because I can type either by text or typing on my laptop much faster than I can write. And that's what brain dumps are. It's just getting it out. There's no rhyme or reason, just get it out. This should take about 2 to 3 minutes. Oftentimes, things will bubble up and we think that we're done, but I encourage you to just sit for even a few seconds and ask yourself, is there anything else that feels like it needs attention? There might be something that comes up, another emotion or another situation that your body needs to process. Prompt number 2 is something that should take only 15 to 30 seconds. I want you to go through that list, and whether you did a bullet point list or whether it was free writing paragraph style, just go through and circle all of the things that feel the heaviest. Circle or underline or highlight if you want to be fancy. All of the things that feel the heaviest, like they're weighing you down, like you're thinking about them constantly, like they're the most draining for you. And the third step is for each one of those, ask yourself, how can you make those things feel easier? And I'm going to give you a few options. Can you break that task, even conversation or whatever it is, can you break it up into smaller steps and do just one of those things today? It's easy to think of that if that thing that you circled or underlined is a task. I did mention conversation. The way that you could break that up into smaller pieces is if there's a heavy conversation you need to have and you just keep putting it off, and you're maybe the type of person that isn't having it because you know that you're going to get into the conversation and completely forget what you wanted to say, maybe today is just outlining the points that you want to make in the conversation. Tomorrow could be texting that person and letting them know you'd like to talk. And then the next step would be to actually have the conversation. Back to how we can make this easier on us. Can you ask someone else for help? And then also allow them to help you. Can you receive help? Another good question to ask yourself, do you need to do all of that? If you wrote down a list of, I need to do this, 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 and this, do you really need to do all of that? Or is it just on your list because at one point it was a priority, but if you really think about it, it's not a priority anymore. You don't need to do it. It's just on your list because it kept rolling over from week to week, and now you don't need to do it. Or it was somebody else's priority, and you're now realizing that you can give it back to them. Or you could even change it up to make it relevant to what it is that you're going through now, or what your family is going through, or a goal that you might have now. And lastly, if you do need to do the damn thing and just push through, can you treat yourself to something afterwards? Can you go get yourself an ice cream cone afterwards, or, book a massage after you do that really hard thing? And reward yourself for getting through it. There are so many reasons that our bodies speak to our minds and it comes out as stress and overwhelm. And I think that the result over time is burnout. But knowing that you can tune into yourself and be really, really honest with yourself and doing that consistently, which can just be a few days a week, it does not have to be daily, that can be your source of relief. And if you've never experienced that, I highly encourage you to try it. Just do it once and see how it feels. If it feels okay, do it 3 more times or even 2 more times, right? 3 times this week. If you are that person that's feeling deeply overwhelmed, burnt out, or stressed, and you want to feel peaceful and maybe even fulfilled and happy again, and you know that you can because you have felt that before. You know that version of you is inside of you. You just need a little bit of practice connecting back to yourself. And when you feel connected to yourself, you will naturally connect with others and you will naturally find more connection in what it is that you do. So I hope that this episode was helpful for you. I am launching a free resource very soon that is for the woman who is super busy, has no time to actually journal, would rather type than physically write, and need some more guidance on what to even write in your journal. So if that's you, make sure you're on my email list. I'll post a link in the show notes for a couple of my freebies. One is my how to start journaling. So this is for beginners, just a couple tips on how to actually start. And then another freebie is my breakthrough blueprint. So this is more for my intermediate journalers who do have big emotions, big things happening in your life, and you don't want to sit in the emotion. You don't want to get stuck. I help you process it and get through it and get to the other side. And the third one is a weekly journal prompt delivered to your inbox. So sign up for any of those. You'll be on my email list. And the first to know about this new free resource that is coming and a few extra goodies I have up my sleeve. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next week.